welcome to re.Planted.
How are you?
We made it, my love. Oh, honey, look how we made it this far.
One time I came out and there was a whole crowd of people. They had organized a tour, a self-guided tour of the garden.
When we arrived by car, we're like, where are we?
Deciding to go from a life where it was very profit-oriented, like money-oriented, to one that's more aligned with nature and more aligned with the natural systems. I really envision this like field of dahlias. The Japanese beetles kind of ruined that vision a little bit. This is our little wash pack station here. It's mobile, it's on wheels to wash lettuce and then spin the lettuce. It's short, so we crawl in cooler. And right now it's...
But I mean, that's perfect.
Yeah, it really is perfect. I call it a haven of respite. There's a lot going on in the world. Really getting to engage deeply with individuals in the community was where my heart, like where I wanted things to go. What's better than, you know, breaking bread with someone?
Hi everybody, today we're at a really special place. So, I mean, that's not where we're used to, and that's really great. So we're at re.Planted Farm and Floral Studio with Akos, and today we're doing a farm tour. So,
welcome.
Let's go. Thanks.
So welcome to our micro-urban farm. We're like a technically urban farm, but not actually, because technically we're in a suburb.
Yeah.
And we're in a suburb, not of a city, but a suburb of a rural area.
Yeah.
Deep River is kind of is situated in a weird location. It's like a suburb right in the middle of nowhere.
I know. It's so special because when we arrive, we're like, where is this place?
Yeah, and all the other towns, other than like getting closer to Ottawa, are bigger towns, but there's no other towns like Deep River from here to North Bay.
It's really special.
Yeah, well, actually, there's Mattawa, which is kind of an intersection of the highway. So, bigger town, but this town was kind of built around the nuclear lab. So we are lucky that we have a little suburb to kind of situate ourselves in.
Okay.
But we're growing flowers and veggies on probably about 3,000 square feet now.
Wow.
And kind of the focal front of the farm are these lisianthus. We chose to put them right here, front and center. Probably one of the only flowers we grow that we don't harvest until they're fully open. So they're really, really beautiful for people who walk around to look at. And they really accent the garden really nicely. Whereas a lot of the other flowers that we tend to harvest before they open are kind of hidden in the middle beds and all that. So,
because when we arrived by car, we're like, where are we? And then we just saw your place. It was like, wow. It's like it was so fresh, like in the middle of, it's like in the oasis, but it's a beautiful neighborhood, but like, it feels really special.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, like, how did you like get into this? How did you like decide, I'm gonna do this at my home?
Oh boy. So during COVID, within the first year of COVID, all the shutdowns, empty shelves kind of put me in a panic. I realized that I don't actually really understand where a lot of my food is coming from.
Of course.
And what's in that food, what it's doing to me, and so many questions came up. Inspired by COVID. And so I just started to kind of commit to growing a little bit more of my own food. And from there, I saw videos online of various people who were market gardening. But it was specifically Curtis Stone, who was urban farming in Kelowna, BC. And that really revolutionized my idea of what a farm could look like. I always thought that it was 2-3 acres. But here's this guy doing it on front lawns, a series of front lawns. And so I said, okay, I have a front lawn. Let's see what we can do with it.
Let's try.
Yeah, and so we had 2 massive cedar shrubs right in the middle. We cut those down. And started just on our lot. It was just started with, this is the main garden. So this is kind of the original garden. And since then we've kind of been adding like as many plots as we can.
Every season you must be, I would like it.
I know, and my husband's like,
of course.
And I'm like, just give me this little spot. I just need a little bit more room.
A little bit more.
Yeah, just
it's
a
the
little
last.
bit more.
It's the last.
I know. But really, where I am, I think I've hit my capacity.
Yeah.
You'll see, there's not much, but we get a lot out of a little space. I know,
houses
right?
there. And
Yeah, it's funny because that neighbor's like, why don't you use my lawn? And then that neighbor was like, use my, because they love the look of it, and so they want the flowers over there.
Yeah.
And I was like, honestly, if I was to use your lawn, I'd probably put something that like wouldn't be as nice as the Lysianthus. It would just be totally functional. So I don't know if you're.
But even that, I mean,
know
people, like, it's just.
They love just to see that
beautiful.
those plants. Yeah.
Of course, and since we arrived, like we saw a couple person walking on the street. They were just like.
Yeah.
Like they probably used to it, but if I would walk in my neighborhood, like I would be like, what's going on there?
Yeah. We know people who will, like, obviously they're used to it, but when they have people visiting, they'll bring them around.
Of course.
They'll walk them around. There was one time I came out and there was a whole crowd of people on the street.
That was organized.
Like not organized by me. They had organized a tour, a self-guided tour of the garden from the street to show all their relatives when they came to visit.
Wow.
I've had people knock on the door and just be like, "Can I buy flowers?" And I was like, "Yes, you can."
Of course.
Yeah, so it's been an amazing opportunity to meet people and just beautify the neighborhood and yeah, so where it's both functional and then beautiful aesthetic as well. So
absolutely.
That's the purpose of these gardens. Yeah.
And because I see a lot of things now, and I
there's
see
a
like
lot.
the smart pots. I see the eucalyptus there.
Yeah, so you'll see a combination of different growing methods. Most things are right in the ground. So the main beds are in the ground. I prefer to grow in the ground.
Absolutely.
Some things though, because space is a major constraint. Eucalyptus, for example, we put in the pots, and actually they do better in the pots. Having their roots confined forces them to grow tall. I've tried them in the beds in previous years, and they just stay small. It seems as if, because naturally they are trees, so they're focused on putting in deep roots. I don't want them to do that. We have a short season.
Exactly.
I want them to tap out in terms of root growth and then put more foliage.
That's exactly the area I did this summer. I planted them in my in my beds, and they now they're bigger. But it was so long. I was like, oh my god, it started so early. But
and we don't have a
really
long
smart.
season.
No,
they won't perennialize here. I don't bring them inside to overwinter them. So this is it. Yeah, so this has been our best eucalyptus year. Everyone comes by and they're like, whoa, I've never seen eucalyptus growing. I've only ever seen them, in a stem.
And it's so impressive. It smells so good.
They are amazing, especially in the evening, just so beautiful. Yeah, so kind of what we originally did when we first started was the perimeter of all our beds were flowers. That way it was kind of the first thing that greeted people, and then the middles of the beds were all veggies. Since we started 4 years ago, we've been slowly transitioning to more cut flower production for market gardening. Sorry, where are they? Where are you? Oh, okay. Just wanted to double check. They're still alive. But now.
But I mean, talking about your kids, like, I mean, how do they like react when they like evolve in this kind of environment? Because I mean, I grew up on grass. That's so different.
Well, I mean, it's become their life. My kids are 7 and 5. I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years. So for most of their life, this is I've had gardens. So like when Josiah writes like his little Mother's Day thing, he puts my favorite thing is my gardens. Where do I work in the gardens? Cute. Like it's just what he knows is my life. They help where they can. Yesterday they're helping me weed as much as they can. He put a couple bean plants in the ground for himself. So yeah, we're slowly getting them.
That's beautiful.
So this year has kind of been the pivotal year of really transforming our market growing to more flowers and veggies. So the middle beds and the outer beds are all veggies, and then are all flowers. And then you'll see as we move around, there are veggies still, but the majority is flowers. Except in this case, this is cabbage, but it's for cut flowers.
Of course.
Which is kind of funny.
I'm curious, like, how was the reaction of the people when you started this project? Like the people in the neighborhood? Because now they're like, oh, that's beautiful, they're used to it. they're proud of it. I feel like they want to show it to their the people around. So
yeah, so I was a little bit lucky.
Yeah.
In the previous business that I did,
Yeah.
It brought me onto Dragon's Den, CBC's Dragon's Den.
Wow. Okay.
So I kind of transitioned from there to here within a year. And so I had that momentum and that kind of publicity, I guess,
Yes, of course.
to build on.
Yeah.
So people kind of knew me as a lady that was on Dragon's Den.
That's crazy.
And so when I started the gardens, there was a little bit of an introduction to who I am and who I was.
Yeah.
I presented at a Women's Day event and kind of introduced, formally like announced the transition from what I was doing till this. And so from then on, I kind of exploited, I guess, that publicity.
Of course.
For the promotion of this and just telling my story and how I transitioned, kind of deciding to go from a life where it was very profit oriented, like money oriented, to one that's more aligned with nature and more aligned with the natural systems of the human.
I want to know more about that.
Yeah, so it was a really it was an unrelated transition, but one that I had a platform to share how I got here.
Yeah.
And so the reception was very positive.
And it was
there
quick.
was a lot of it was quick. It was all within a year. I was on Dragon's Den. I think in November it aired, and then by the following April, I had opened this.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was all during COVID. There was a lot of crazy stuff happening. So, evaluating your life and realizing what's important and what's not. And that's how I kind of got here.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I see the little greenhouse there.
Yeah, we can go over there.
And I feel like, how did you make that? Because I feel it's like you made that yourself, right?
Yeah, DIY. We are in a very, very small space.
Yeah.
And I really, really wanted some undercover growing space.
Yeah.
Specifically at the time it was for hot weather things like peppers and tomatoes.
Yeah.
But now that we've gone into veggies, it's more for ranunculus and then dahlias.
Yeah.
So we used like a DIY guide from the Bootstrap Farmer.
Okay.
It looked very easy.
They're our friends, we like them.
Yeah.
Our podcast.
Yeah. It was a very clear guide.
Yeah.
Though we have no construction experience. So we thought, this is going to be a one-day project. Ended up being like a 1 month long project. I hated every single minute of it, but we got it up.
Yeah.
Really, it was just me and my husband. Didn't know what we were doing. But otherwise, it was very easy. Now that we look at it and we're done, I'm like, okay, why was this so hard for us?
Do you want to build more stuff after that or no?
You know what? I'd love another one, a bigger one. I don't have the space, but I'd absolutely, having done it before, I would just buy the pre-done ones from like Farmer's Friend and just put it up and not deal with the lumber and the this and the that and
I know.
getting the plastic ourselves. That was just a nightmare. But yeah, so in here.
And how does it work? Because I'm curious, how does it work with the veggies? Was it like how do you feel about that?
So we had cucumbers in here. They did well.
Yeah.
That was what we grew in our first year. Cucumbers, peppers, and Lysianthus. That was our first year growing in here. And then it was actually, believe it or not, a smaller greenhouse. So this is the expanded 0.2 greenhouse. To 2.0. And this one, it's solely flowers.
Yeah.
Though I will overwinter kale and salad in here. Just for myself though, not for selling. Just so that I can have fresh veggies all year round. We had ranunculus in here. Before the ranunculus finished, we put in dahlias, and so the dahlias will finish the season. And I might experiment with some winter ranunculus after seeing how well it was done at
planting in the fall.
Yeah, planting in the fall. That was a tip that I got from the Flower Farm course. That I was like, okay, she is able to do it. Maybe I can as well. So I'm looking forward to giving that experiment a try.
Amazing.
So over here is kind of one of our veggie beds. So this is solely veggies. Yeah. We have, and when I do plant veggies, it's extremely intensive. So there's a lot going on here. There's peppers along the sides. In between the peppers are chives. And then in the middle of the peppers are parsley. I have some random okra plants that I finally was able to get somewhere. I mean, these are really not great, but they're better than in past years. So I'm happy about that. And then some random tomatoes that I put at the end there. I did not stake, did not like, and they've taken over that corner. I'm totally good with it. Like I'm happy with them just being there. Mostly for us, but some of the peppers we will put offer at the market.
Absolutely.
And the parsley is also for market. So it's always been, whenever we do veggies, it's been a combination of for us and then for market as well.
Of course.
I threw some basil in there too.
The beautiful thing about having a productive garden at home.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then over here, all the perennial beds are dual purpose, so we can cut from them, but they're also, it's a little bit weedy here, but we cut from them, and then also they're for aesthetic value. But then this is kind of more the production tomatoes. Actually, this year, these tomatoes are mainly for us, but we grow them as if they were for production. So tight spacing, stringing them up. Not usually the home gardener way of growing. So this is kind of where our market gardener experience comes from, and like optimizing the space, even though this is just for us. So we can get the maximum amount of tomatoes in the smallest amount of space. So coming around here, I've been harvesting a few. This has not been a great tomato year. Hasn't been the best tomato year, but they're doing okay, all things considered. My poor sweet potatoes, they're not doing anything. We're not getting anything this year. That's fine.
I know.
They do.
But they look like well.
I don't know why they're so slow this year. And then over here, we're back into kind of flower production. This is my neighbor's lawn. So over here, this is probably the first time that we've ever done just one thing in one of our plots.
And how do you feel about that?
I really envision this like field of dahlias, you know?
Yes.
The Japanese beetles kind of ruined that vision a little bit. With these organza bags, I have to put them on the flowers because they will ravage the petals.
Of course.
But I still love that like mass planting of like all dahlias in different colors. I even color coordinated the plantings. And I just hope that it would just be extremely beautiful from a like community perspective. And then also being able to like make my cultivation practices more efficient because there's just the one variety here is also really nice, as opposed to the mixed plantings where I tend to have to change my method per bed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, how does it, like, what happened with the relationship with your neighbor when you started doing this?
Yeah, so we started on our property. And then it was a little bit easier because we had a case study, a living case study of, you know, what we want to do. So it was a little bit easier for me to ask her then, hey, this is what we've done here. So we're doing, would you be willing to give us a section of your property and we'll trade you veggies? So I give her kind of like a basket of veggies every week.
That's so cool.
With a bouquet if we have. So it's kind of like an open trade that we've kind of been doing.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, so it's nice because she gardens as well, but she's kind of done her garden according to us, knowing that she'll get lettuce every week from us, so she doesn't bother growing lettuce at all. So it's nice. It's been a great, she's a fantastic neighbor.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so we're really lucky, very, very lucky.
And I mean, there's gardening, but having like these 3 beds of dahlias in front of the house, it's like really special.
I know.
It's really special.
It is nice, but you'd be surprised too at how beautiful a bed of lettuce can look as well.
No, you're right.
So,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're on a dead end there, sorry.
So these are all perennials also?
Yeah, all perennials. So we kind of do a combination of fresh flowers for fresh use and also dried use. So this, for example, yarrow is an example of one that we grow just for the purpose of drying.
Okay.
And as we move to the next section, you'll see that's kind of our drying section, the flowers you grow just to dry.
And how does it, like, is it working well?
Oh yeah, the drying?
Yeah.
Really fantastic.
Always wondering, because it feels like it's another market. We don't speak a lot, but like,
the dried flowers has kind of regained popularity just in the last couple years. Especially with local flowers, they look very different than the traditional dried flowers.
So they feel a little bit tacky, you know, back.
Yeah, the traditional dried flowers, but
tacky,
when you're using local flowers,
beautiful.
It can be very beautiful. Especially the idea of everlasting like bouquet.
Of course.
Yeah, it's very in terms of trends right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Over here, we kind of have it's hard for me to dedicate beds to perennials.
Of course.
So I tend to stuff them into the perennial beds around the house. But here I decided to dedicate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 precious beds and the entire back row to perennials.
Yeah.
And we will be adding more beds of perennials. So these are peonies. I also have daffodils in here. I have delphiniums at the end, yarrow.
They look great.
I'm loving the perennials and the gap they fill. So that's something that I really highlight when we have people come to the gardens.
Yeah.
Just the mix of a variety of roots, perennial and annual.
Yeah.
Just to facilitate soil life and microbes. Having both is really important in the soil. Of course.
And how do you feel, like, because I know like in a lot of flower farm, they use mostly annuals because it's like...
It's cheap.
It's cheap.
Yeah.
But how was like the investment for this?
Yeah, so I wanted to invest in peonies like immediately. I was like, let's spend $1,000. And my husband was like, well, why don't we wait and see how this goes? Yeah. And so I waited and waited a little bit more. And then I think at year 3, I was like, okay, if I had planted those peonies 3 years ago, they would be ready now.
Would be amazing now.
I know. So I'm investing in peonies, and then I bought more peonies, and now I'm like, what are you doing, Coast? What's the plan here with these peonies? Because you don't have the space for over 100 peonies between here and then what we have in the back as well. Yeah. So yeah, it was hard to spend the money, but luckily we did it 3 years in. We already had the capital. Yeah. So it was like, okay, I know how I'm going to sell them, where I'll sell them, where they'll go. We had a market lined up and everything for them.
That's amazing. Another neighbor that wants to share.
So actually, this is town property.
Oh, that's town property.
This is technically town property.
Okay.
We had to get the town's permission.
Yeah, so how was that?
Very easy.
Okay.
Because they weren't doing much with it. And we're lucky there's no hydro lines or anything here. Or sewer lines. So the town whatever guy came and was like, okay, what are you doing here? And I was like, this is what we do. And he's like, okay, sure, why not? We said that we would maintain it.
That easy.
Yeah, so the parts that we don't use, we mow. Make sure we keep it nice and tidy.
So that's the deal.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the deal.
Okay.
Yeah, there are times where they will tell us, like we wanted to extend the gardens a little bit.
Yeah.
And they told us we need to plow snow, and so we need the space.
Okay.
So as long as you don't mind the snow plow, coming around the bend, and there might be some damage. So that means that this raised bed here is kind of the only raised bed we can have. Everything has to be in the ground.
So you need to find a way to accommodate like the town, but it still works.
Yeah, it still works.
And I mean, it's a lot of like dahlias. You have like good revenues from here, I guess.
Yeah. This plot and my neighbor's plot are probably my favorite because the rows are straight.
Yeah.
So it means simplicity with irrigation and staking and all of the things that have to do with growing is easier when you're working in straight lines as opposed to our original plot, which is all on a bend. And the beds are uniform.
Like,
here.
do you regret sometimes doing it like in this?
There's no way we could have done it any differently to optimize space on a curve. Yeah, so
there's a feeling there. It's like it's
beautiful. That kind of informal, bed. Whereas these ones are more rigid and they feel more formal.
Exactly. Yeah, because you need to keep that in mind. That
exactly.
It needs to be beautiful.
Yeah, it has to be beautiful because of where we're situated.
Exactly.
So here we did have to get my neighbor's permission too because I need to connect to their water.
Okay.
But luckily we're on flat rate water here in Deep River.
Yeah.
So we pay the same no matter how much you use.
Okay.
So it was just a matter of getting their permission and rigging the water through the fence.
And how was the relationship with the
it's really good. I give them bouquets and flowers whenever I am able to. And
I mean, that's the best way to exchange services.
Yeah.
I mean, can you help me? Like, here's flowers.
Yeah.
I mean, it just
exactly.
works.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, I would like to.
Yeah, it's really awesome. So here, these are all our dried flowers.
Okay.
Straw flowers, status, gomphrena, and just a few other things. And then we have in the middle beds. Yeah. So it's kind of random here. This is the combination that we used to do. Whereas we'd have like flowers on the outside and then veggies in the middle. So this is one of those kind of like original OG plans. Where we have veggies in the middle. Yeah. So we had cabbages and garlic and onions all down the middle. The garlic and onions finished. And so we're kind of in that transitional moment with a lot of the gardens because from spring to summer or fall, we had some empty spots. So I threw some sunflowers in here And then our carrots finished over here. I had some radicchio, and now there's watermelon taking over my beans. It's really random. It looks
it looks nice.
Yeah.
It looks alive.
It's in terms of like planning, not the textbook way of doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of figuring out a way to optimize. Like, for example, I have my fall sunflowers here.
Yeah.
But then I also want cabbage in the fall too. So there's the other half of the bed that has. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it looks like your garden.
Well, it's like that. I don't have just like a perfect neat bed of one thing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why that like bulk bed of dahlias is like, oh my gosh, glorious uniformity, like just one thing.
But that's what I told Chris like last time, because my garden, I have like some patches, they're like
Yeah.
But then he was like, yeah, yours is really like organized. But I was like, yeah, but at some other places,
I know, yeah,
it's like total chaos. And I think I really love them both.
I know, seriously.
We need them both.
Seriously, I think the balance of both chaos and exactly, yeah. So, this little section here is a little bit hard because it's under the tree. So I mentioned before some of the struggles of urban farming.
Exactly, absolutely.
This is a tree that's on town property. We can't remove.
Yeah.
I think it would cost us too much to remove it anyways.
Yeah.
So I just have to figure out what to do once we have that dense canopy. There's some branches that hang low enough that's an obstruction, so I'll just cut them.
Yeah.
But I can't cut all the branches. So we have this spot that's technically shade. So I've had to do a little bit of random perennial planting just in this kind of like rectangle
Area.
section so that it's not wasted. But that's kind of where you'll see there's a stop in where the production is, like the main stuff, because I know I'm working with pretty much full shade over here.
But that's an interesting reality, like the shade in this kind of area. Like how do you, like with perennials, I feel like it's a good way to deal with it.
Yeah, so that's it, perennials. That's the only thing that makes sense. Most annuals want full shade.
That's amazing.
Or want full sun, sorry. Yeah. So the only way is just finding the most useful perennial that I can use for cut flowers and then putting it here. I did plant some hellebores somewhere here, but they never came up. It's another one that's good for shade. I have bleeding heart and columbine there. They're new, so they're young.
Yeah.
But this section, I was a little bit unsure of. I couldn't remember where the shade started. Yeah. In this bed and this bed, so you'll still see like our status goes on here.
Yeah.
Planting.
In spring, you can't tell.
Exactly. Well, it's funny because when I first put the gardens in and I first asked for permission, it was still spring, and I saw the tree and I was like, I don't think it's gonna be that bad. And so I put dahlias here. This whole thing was dahlias, and like this section did poorly because it was in full shade, and I was like, man, I did not realize how much shade
it's crazy.
The tree would cast. So that's something that you constantly need to be thinking about when you're looking at these kind of urban lots. Yeah, and then I can take you to the back.
And what were these?
So these were ranunculus. So I don't like growing ranunculus outside. They tend to not do well. I prefer the greenhouse, but you've seen my greenhouse is very small. Yeah. So I put ranunculus in crates. Last year, the crate ranunculus did just as good for me as the greenhouse because I can start the crates early and bring them out.
Of course.
But this year, the crates did terribly. So we cleared them out, the corms out, and now they're kind of lying empty. I think I might do ranunculus again for the fall. Yeah. We'll see. I'm not sure yet, but it's good soil, so I didn't want to dump it, and it's just kind of waiting for whatever idea I
Of course. Do you know why it didn't work this year?
I think irrigation was an issue. I also I was being a little bit cheap. I filled the crates with 100% manure. Yeah, I was like, I don't want to buy any more soil. And I thought, they'll do fine. They didn't. I don't think they liked that.
They didn't.
Yeah, no, they didn't. So next year I'll mix it. I'll do half and half because that's what I normally do. I'll do half potting soil, half manure. Yeah.
Sometimes every time I'm like, it should be all right this season.
It's just horse manure, just pure horse manure.
Add more.
Well, let's go around this way.
Yeah,
actually, sure, let's go through this way. That way we can kind of... Yeah, so this bed too actually is also kind of a problematic bed because these shrubs.
The shade, yeah.
So it doesn't get any morning sun. Yeah. It only gets sun from now, which is what, noon or 1?
So they have like, I don't know, it's like 5 hours? Something
Well,
like that?
6-7 hours.
Okay.
They'll flower, but they're always late. They're always short.
Yeah.
And like this half of the peony bed didn't flower at all this year. So it was really interesting just to see the dynamic with the shade. And we're beginning to see more and more the challenges of, you know, being in an urban area and dealing
Of
with
course.
these shady spots. So back here is kind of where we host our workshops.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a really big portion of our business. One of the things that inspiring the community with the gardens and having that aesthetic value to it is it's people want to be here, they want to visit, they want to see what we're doing here. They want to learn and kind of understand how we're getting so much out of so little space. So it's opened up an avenue of hosting workshops.
And that's a really great way to generate income also.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you have this amazing place, this amazing garden, and you're like, you want to share with people?
Yeah.
And I saw I saw the events you were doing on the social media. And I mean, go look it out. It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Like I was stunned. I was like, wow, it looks so beautiful. Like just the feeling. You know?
And
It was
that's what
great.
we wanted to create. I call it a haven of respite. There's a lot
Exactly.
going on in the world. There's a lot of news being kind of thrown at us constantly,
Of course.
bombarded with a lot of our personal issues. And so I kind of like when people come for these workshops, I almost say, okay, you're entering this a haven
Yeah.
to forget about just for a moment what's going on, and creating that environment where you can forget about what's going on is kind of key. Being in the gardens is very easy to just kind of hyper focus on the beauty of the flowers.
Absolutely.
So just kind of taking advantage of what we already have and sharing that emotion that I get with others
Absolutely.
has been great. And it's been kind of key to our success because we're capped at space.
Exactly.
We could expand to more lawns, but the truth is with my kids and my family situation, I'm capped.
Yeah.
So how can I optimize my operation so that it's paying for the gardens and
Exactly.
also my time? And workshops kind of does that because I already have the gardens, they're already there. Bringing people in a more structured way allows me to bring in revenue so that I can keep doing what I'm doing.
And how does these event, like, what do you do normally? Like you invite people to, because what I saw is like it looks like a gathering of like.
So what you saw was like a farm to fork dinner is what we had.
Amazing.
So we have two of those events. We have a farm to fork dinner, and then later on we'll have a farm to fork brunch. So
Oh, that's a good idea.
veggies from the garden, veggies from not just veggies, but all food like dairy, meat, whatever, from as many local producers as we can get. And we have like a little menu board with all the producers, all the farms,
that's so cool.
everyone
Love
that
it.
we kind of worked with to get the meal to the table. It's usually 3 courses. And then, but we also have bouquet making workshops as well.
Amazing.
We have a flower crown workshop coming up. We had a wedding workshop in the past. So just depending on what the season allows for, we work around our weddings because we also do weddings. So whatever weekend I don't have a wedding or whatever week I don't have a wedding, I'll put in a workshop to kind of fill in
That's a good idea.
the gaps. I love the workshops.
And it must be nice to meet the people from the area also. And then they see your project, they want to work with you, they want to get bouquets. Like, I mean, it's all like.
It's definitely one of the reasons why I started the workshops in the first place was I was meeting people at the market. You can only chat so much with someone at the market.
Yeah, you're right.
But really getting to engage deeply with individuals in the community was where my heart, like where I wanted things to go. How can I get to know this person better? And what's better than, breaking bread with someone, right?
Exactly. I feel the same
There's
way.
just something about that very fundamental action that...
And do you cook for them also?
So I don't usually cook. I usually get other people to cook, but with our ingredients.
That's
So
a
it's
good
usually
idea.
catered because it's a lot. It's a lot to
I
cook
know.
and then plan and organize and
I know,
market.
of
It's
course.
too much to do it all. So it's fun to kind of spread the money around and support a local caterer who is absolutely okay with me, like 2 days before texting her, I have the veggies ready, let me bring it over.
Exactly.
She's totally okay with working with that kind of structure.
Amazing relationship you build with her.
And then she just
works.
comes, slips the food into the trailer, and then very, very flexible, not super rigid and formal. It's really
I feel
nice
like it's a really nice way to do it.
It is.
Like, it's flexible, like really, it's in the back of your garden. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
like easy formula,
Yeah.
really nice. You meet the people. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
It's fantastic.
It's so
Yeah.
nice.
So back here, aside from, you know, the home stuff, so we
Yeah.
have all the other random stuff. This is where we bring all our flowers and veggies into our trailer. Actually, this is our little wash pack station here. It's mobile, it's on wheels.
Whoa,
so we
that's
can
a great idea,
move it
though.
in 3-bin system to wash lettuce and then spin the lettuce and then
And
pretty much wash everything else here
Where do
too.
you get that idea? I feel like it's a really good idea.
So
No, seriously.
I saw it on Pinterest.
Yes.
And then I posted the picture on our town discussion group and I was like, who can build this for me?
That's a
And
good.
some random guy who's like, he has a job, but he does woodworking on the side. He's like, I'll do it for $100
can do
bucks.
it.
So I was like, oh yeah.
That's
yeah.
it.
Yeah, so he built it for us, put it on wheels. This folds down.
I mean, easy to wash,
It's so easy to wash.
easy to it's
To move,
perfect.
yeah, it's on handles. It's awesome. And it works perfectly for a small space and our volume as well. Even at a larger volume, sure, it might take a couple more rounds.
Of course,
but
but
and then we converted
nice.
this trailer into a walk-in cooler. It's short, so we crawl in cooler. And right now it's
but I mean,
filled with flowers.
that's perfect.
Yeah, it really is perfect. So it's rigged, you know, the typical way with an AC. And yeah, we built it ourselves. There's some parts that are kind of falling apart.
Yeah, but I
But
mean,
that's totally, I mean, it works for us. So, I mean, yeah.
and did you do that all by yourself again?
Yeah, me and my husband again, not
Wow.
after the greenhouse. Then we tackled this. So obviously
Wow.
that did not discourage us.
Oh my god.
Yeah, well, it's not a cool bot. We did it a different way, a way that we found on YouTube to kind of make it a little bit more cost effective.
Do it yourself, everything.
Yeah, it was complicated because we're working with 2 doors
Yeah.
here. It's not ideal. Ideally, it would be just 1 door.
Yeah.
So that made the insulating around the door a little tricky. But we figured it out, non-construction minded. We made it work and it does the job. We keep our dahlias in here in the winter, so I'll rig the temperature controller to a space heater to keep it at 7 degrees all throughout the winter for the dahlia tubers. And it can hold all our dahlia. There's thousands of dahlia tubers that it'll hold. And then
so
in the
nice.
summer, our flowers. So it's pretty much getting all year round use. So yeah, that the initial investment was we've gotten a return multiple times.
And
from
do you
it.
feel like now, like with the season passing, you would need more space? With that's all right.
So it's funny because last year
Yeah.
we had just newly expanded from like fridges to this.
Yeah.
So I found myself always having more flowers than I could sell.
Yeah.
But since then I've corrected that. So it's only full for a day. And then the flowers are out.
That's perfect.
So usually by like on Monday, what day is it? Wednesday, like Tuesday, midday would have been empty. And then it would be refilled the next day. And then by
That's
the
it.
end of the week, it's empty.
So
So
you need to be organized, but
Yeah.
it works.
yeah, it works. The amount of space we
That's
have
perfect.
it works as long as we keep things moving.
Of course.
Yeah.
And did you build this like extra?
Yeah, no, we were just so lucky with this house. It's almost like we didn't know buying this house is what we wanted to
Exactly.
do with the space.
Yeah.
But when we did realize what we want to do, it's
Yeah.
like it worked out perfectly.
perfect,
So
yeah.
the previous owner had a boat.
Yeah.
And this is where he kept his boat. He built the carport. So
I mean,
it
that's
just
so
so
useful.
happened. Yeah, so
And
so
it's
useful.
like just perfect. The size is good.
Yeah, same thing with the deck. We didn't build that either.
And
It
it's
just came
beautiful.
with it. The previous owner had a hot tub, and then the next owner after that was like, screw the hot tub, let's deck it
that's
all.
perfect.
And then now we're using it for workshops and stuff.
Wow.
So yeah, and it ends up being like just perfect.
Can we see?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's crazy. I love that. Such a great idea. So you're doing workshop here.
Yeah,
I mean,
so some
what? That's beautiful.
yeah, depending on the workshop. So I've kind of like now it's like, okay, here's the space. How do we make it look nice
Yeah.
to bring people back here?
Yeah.
So I planted some hops vines and we have it trailing up the pergola. Just for that cascading effect.
mean,
yeah, it looks really nice.
looks so nice.
The hops are coming in really nicely now this
Yes,
year.
they're
You're
beautiful.
making workshop in the future.
I know. It's funny because people ask me what I use the hops for. I'm like, nothing / maybe. Yeah, yeah.
It's always maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, because it's so productive. Like, look at how much hops are on there.
I know.
They actually dry really nicely for dried bouquets, and they make an amazing, just all hops wreath.
You're right. And you don't have to do anything.
No, actually, they're super aggressive, so I do have to do something. I'm constantly pulling the plant because it's so aggressive. But this is where we kind of, it depends on the size. If it's a small workshop, then we'll come under here, set up the tables. Right now, my kids are kind of just chilling in the shade.
It feels intimate. It feels nice.
Yeah, it feels intimate, feels nice. It's partially screened, so the bugs are minimal.
Yeah.
This time of year, the bugs are minimal anyways. It's usually earlier in the season that they're an issue.
You need them.
And then we have the pergola, and this was another thing why I wanted the hops to climb, so you can have that little patch of shade right here too.
Of course.
Because sometimes when we have bouquet workshops, they don't all fit it under the deck. We have to overflow the buckets of flowers out here. So it's nice to have that bit of shade.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so it ends up creating a very nice, one thing that I've always felt self-conscious about is like, this is my house, you know, and I don't want people to feel like they're coming to my house, but then I also want the comfort of coming to someone's house, but then also the feel of being in a space that was intended for this. So I almost want that kind of combined feeling where it's like I'm in this space that feels like it was intended for this, but I'm also in the comfort of someone's home kind of thing. So just that mix. Yeah. So coming through here, we end up kind of where we started.
Where do you start like your
seeds?
Yeah, your seeds.
I have an entire spare bedroom that's been converted to a grow room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow,
when we first started, it was like the bed, the mattress was here, and my shelves were here. And I was like working around the bed. And then eventually we were like, it was COVID. I was like, no one's coming. No one is coming to our house. Get rid of the bed and let me put more shelves. So now the whole room is just shelves and tables where I keep all my vases and the lights and seeds and all that.
And I see by there also you have like metallic structure.
Yeah,
like for the weddings and everything?
Yeah, for weddings and stuff. Wow. So arches, and that's something that we're kind of newly getting into, which is just renting out those arches for a lot of the weddings that we do anyways. So that's what that was there. So and we can use it also for workshops too, and it helps with the kind of ambiance. Yeah.
So you just put flowers there, people are coming. Whoa.
Yeah, it really makes for a nice feel, especially in the evening when the string lights are on. Yeah, it's awesome.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's it. That was amazing.
Thank you
very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was so nice.